Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Drummers Education Connection. My name is Jeremy Steinkohler, here with two of my very dear friends, excellent drummers, master educators, Chip Ritter down in Tucson, Arizona. What's happening,
Hello.
Chip? And Rick Stojak in San Diego. Hey, Rick, educator.
Hey,
Chip Ritter.
everybody, welcome.
Rick, unfortunately, is experiencing some video connectivity issues, some connection. We don't know what's going on, but his audio is coming through loud and clear. So we're going to bear with it. And we're going to ask Rick that he keep his demonstrations to a minimum.
Oh, bummer.
Just messing.
Ah,
So today we're kind of going back to our roots a little bit. We're talking. Just how we started the show over a year ago, maybe a year and a half. We're going to talk about some questions that students of ours have brought up to us, and we're also going to take an opportunity, which we hardly ever do, to catch up with one another and see what projects we've been up to and what gigs we've been having and what's been going on in our little universes here. So maybe we can share some wisdom and some cool vibes with you guys. If you have questions, or if you've got questions that your students have been asking you that are on your mind, anything you want to talk about, go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll address it. So, Rick, what's been going on with you, man?
lots and lots of lessons, which has been real nice.
That's great.
I find that June and January are the time that a lot of new people start up. So I've had 7 new starts. So
Wow, that's amazing.
it's been really, really fun. So um, I would say it's a good thing that I love to teach.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing a lot of it, and you don't want to do a lot of something you don't love. So
Yeah. Well, and the balance is important, right? I know some teachers who are really good at teaching and they love teaching, but if they have too many students, they get burnt out. So
yeah,
sometimes for certain people, you got to know what's the right balance for you in terms of gigs and lessons and other life balance. I'm a huge believer in life balance and how important that is to do all the things you do well. You have to make sure you take time for yourself, and summer is often the time to do that.
absolutely. And writing my own book series um, and beta testing it on the students really, really makes teaching fun for me. Because here's a new page, and let's try it out. And it's going to be in a future book. And then we work through it. And that kind of makes it exciting for me. And I'll tell a student, you're a beta tester on a new page. And that gives
Rick,
them some excitement.
it's pretty cool. It's really cool. Rick, that's one of the things I love about your books. And we talked about this early on when we first met, is that your books aren't like theoretical books.
Yeah.
They're books that come from real life practice, and you've tested them like this. Okay, try this out. Oh, I'm going to tweak that one didn't work so well, that one's too hard a jump for my students, whatever. So you adjust, and your books are really like lab tested, right? They come just from real experience and real results that you get with your students, which I love. So many people write books as ideas, concepts. They're concept books, and those can be great too, but they come out of their brains and not so much out of real life teaching experience. And then when you start working through some of these books, I'm like, wow, what was the author thinking here with this exercise that's kind of out of left field or way too more difficult than the 10 ones before it? It seems like beta, they didn't really put it to the test with students, but your stuff comes from real life work with your students, which is great. I love that.
Thanks, Jeremy. I really try to make it so with an approach of, are you going to use that on a gig?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're in a studio session, is this variation that I'm talking about something that perhaps a musical director or producer or songwriter might ask of you? Like, hey, can you move that hi-hat pattern over to the ride and put hi-hat on the foot on the ands? That's a real life musical kind of thing to practice,
right?
rather than some abstract thing.
Right. Another good point about everything you're offering in your books having very utilitarian value and not so much theoretical value. I mean, there are books that are theoretical value that are still cool and good. New Breed comes to mind. That's such a ass kicking book, and developing all these different layers of coordination that you may not use a whole lot of. Right. But it's still good for you. We know it's like eating lots of vegetables, and it certainly comes out and you're playing. You have more control, more freedom and whatnot. But for most drummers who aren't going to that level of sophistication, which is most drummers, right?
You're right, which is most drummers.
you know, I think that your books are perfect for that. You know, it's like working man's or working person's stuff.
That's it. Why? That's why it's how to build a
Working
drum
person's
groove.
stuff.
You know, when people play in here, I'm like, yeah, that was the notes on paper, but
Mhm.
I'm not dancing over here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you got to make me go like this, and then I actually want to jam on top of what you're playing.
Right.
And yeah, um, you know, I'm really proud of one of my students. His name is Seth, and he's in his 20s, and he really has decided like this is what he wants to do. He wants to be a drummer, and he's going to give it his all. And so he's studying with me, he's sharpening up on his reading, um, which was a real struggle, but he's realizing the advantage of it. But one of the things he's doing is he's going to open mic nights.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like hit 4 open mic nights. That's a tongue twister. Up last week. And he's just going for it, you know?
That's
And
awesome.
I just love that. And he's fearless. And every once in a while he gets his ass so kicked. I mean, he played me a video, and I don't think he could tell whether it was a triplet or a 4/4 or a backbeat kind of thing, or what it was, you know. And he was just kind of trying to scoot around to try to find where to put a backbeat. I'm like, dude, you should have just like laid down some kind of time, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
but it was a great learning experience for it.
When in doubt, quarter notes.
When in doubt, yes, give it up for the quarter note. Thank you, quarter note.
Green onions,
Love it.
man. There's nothing deeper than green onions, right?
Right. Everybody thinks green onions is the swing pattern, but it's all quarter
Quarter
note on
note.
ride.
I
Yeah.
love it. It's one of the
Yeah.
best.
The swing is in the drums. That boom,
Yep.
tap,
And
boom, tap.
and organ.
Yeah. And the organ.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So Chip, so Rick, you've been teaching quite a bit. You got a whole bunch of new students, which is great because a lot of teachers, I was just telling Chip before you got on how my schedule has really slowed down during the summer. A lot of my students go away,
Yeah.
but a couple of new ones start, but it's really about June is like the what do you call it? The doldrums for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you know, that's great. Everything has an ebb and flow to it. And I know some people get a lot of students in the summer when people are like, oh, finally school's out. I can put some, finally start my lessons. Chip, what's been going on for you?
Not much, man. I've been teaching at the church and playing at the church on Sunday and Wednesdays. I've had a couple gigs with Lisa Ote and the Desert Divas at the Gaslight Music Theater, and got out there and played my drums for a while. It's the first time I had a gig in a long time, and broke
Nice.
off the rust and did my thing, man. And I've been working on a book called Stick Tricks and Showmanship, and it's been a couple years now that I've been working on it. I keep getting writer's block, and I stop, and then I come back to it. And so I've been working on that book, man. And of course, my CD's out there. And we have our friend Bart Robley, who's not here today. His band Sam Morrison came out with the CD recently, and I heard that Bart's going to have his own solo CD come out soon. So that's
right.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody just put a comment. We can't see who it is, so you got to say who you are. It says doldrums. That's what you call it. Joe, you little. No, I love teaching. Joe's one of my best, hardest working students. Honestly, I say that in all truth. Joe's an adult. He's been taking lessons for, God, is it almost 2 years now? Is that right? Year and a half? And man, wow. he works his butt off and takes it super seriously and has made massive progress in a short amount of time. So, yeah, Joe's awesome.
It's not doldrums, Joe. It's drums.
Yeah. I'm just saying summer is slow. That's all for me, teaching wise, but not so much. But gig wise, it's been busy, which is great.
The thing is there's just so much to do up in San Francisco.
There is.
So people are like, let's take the time.
Oh, Chip, I was going to ask you a question about what you just said. You said you had a gig for the first time in quite a while. I know, with COVID and things, gigs have been slow, and some things have been canceled for me. But do you have any thoughts or advice for drummers who are like coming back to a gig after or even just playing after a long layoff? Like a lot of people,
Yeah.
students, they'll go away for the summer, they'll come back 2 months later, they haven't picked up the drumsticks. What's your advice for how to get back into it?
Picking up the drumsticks and getting to it, getting back into a training workout regimen of playing the drums and getting active and working and practicing. I guess that would be the best. That's what I did. I broke out my old warm-ups, and I have a warm-up playlist that I go through that's about 24 minutes and gets me ready for a show. I started going through that on a daily basis. So I did that every day for about a couple weeks, and I was ready.
Hey, Chip, is that warm-up playlist by chance on your YouTube channel playlist?
No, sir, but it should be. I need to write that down. I should do that. I should put that up there.
Rick, how about you? When you probably don't ever take breaks from drumming because you're practicing like 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
I know.
But when you do take a break because you go on vacation for a couple of weeks or whatever, do you have any routines that you get back into to help you kind of shake off the rust or whatever?
I think I probably have just been so full throttle, man. I just kind of feel like I'm ready to rock.
That's what I thought. Rick's like the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah. Also, I recommend a good night's sleep, coffee. My wife and I take a walk in the morning. That's how we start our day, and do a lot of yoga and stretching and push-ups.
Wow.
And I find that if my body is alert and feeling good, I'm kind of ready. Yeah. And it kind of comes back pretty quick is what I found. So
yeah,
but I'd like to test it by taking 2 weeks off.
You can. That's right. I tell students that when I don't play for a little while, if I don't pick up the sticks for a couple of weeks, I kind of feel like I lose my, top 5% of whatever I was doing, but that it comes back within a couple of days just from, getting back to practicing.
Yeah. I like to think that's part of being seasoned and having more years behind you, that this stuff kind of comes back quicker.
Yeah. So I think maybe the percentage might be greater. Maybe somebody might lose a little, like whatever, 10 or 15% when they take a break. But it does come back fairly quickly, even for my students, I think, once they get back to practicing.
Yes.
Setting expectations, right? So you're not feeling like, oh, I should be able to do everything I did, 2 months ago when I haven't picked up the drumsticks. Well, it doesn't usually work like that.
This is all in our heads too. I don't tell myself I'm rusty. When a student comes in like, oh man, I've hardly practiced, I'm really, really rusty. And I go, no, you're not. Let's lay down a track. Let's play to a song. Boom. I'm like, see, you weren't rusty. And then it's all like they pick right back up.
Yeah, so. Right. I'm sure that part of that rusty, whatever we call feeling rusty is mental, right?
Right.
Part of it's got to be physical too, especially when you're earlier on. But but I'm sure some of it's mental as well. Just gaining back the confidence that you had when you were feeling like you were in the groove with it.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, just watch what your brain tells you. You don't want to be listening to your brain.
Yeah, most of the time. That's what my wife tells me all the time.
There you go. Hey, is my video fixed up, or am I still in internet wackiness?
Your audio is great. We can hear you loud and clear, but your video is still sort of pixelated and skipping. But that's
sorry, folks.
That's all right, man. That's just the vagaries of using technology, right, Chip?
That we've been anointed with. Yes.
That's right.
So as a reminder for you guys, what we're doing today is we're catching up with each other a little bit, talking about what's been going on for us so far this summer. We have some questions from students that we're going to bat around and talk about. But in the meantime, if you have any questions or things you'd like us to address or discuss, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm looking at you, Joe Parisi. I know you're chock full of questions today.
Joe Parisi.
It's like a free drum lesson.
Basically, but with like the collective wisdom of like 150 years of drumming experience here on this. When Bart here's here, it's like 200, right?
It's like 205.
Exactly. And Jim Royal's in the audience, and Jim Royal's another fantastic educator. Hey, Jim, congratulations. Jim was just accepted to be on the drum set committee for the Percussive Art Society, which is a terrific honor. We're super proud of you, Jim. That's awesome. And that, of course, means that when we apply to present as drum set clinicians, you're going to approve us right off the bat. Thank you for
Oh,
that.
I love that.
Just
Hey,
kidding.
Murray Piper as well. Congratulations to
That's
our
right,
buddy
Murray,
Murray
too.
Piper.
Yeah, two of our close friends and supporters of the Drummers Education Connection are on the drum set committee for PASIC. And if you all don't know what PASIC is, it's a convention that happens annually in Indianapolis. That's put on by the Percussive Arts Society International Convention, hence the acronym PASIC. And it's super cool. It's like part expo, so it's like part NAMM show, where they have all the drum manufacturers displaying their wares in like a giant, hall. There's a couple of halls, but it's just drums, not like the NAMM show, which is, guitars and basses and all violins and everything. And then they also have performances and clinics throughout the day. It's like a 4-day conference, and they have, everything percussion. So there's world drums, there's ethnic hand percussion, there's drum set, there's marching drums, there's mallets and percussion ensembles. A lot of college ensembles will perform. And the musicianship is really just incredible. I mean, some of the best drummers in the world give these master classes for like 500 people sometimes, and you can learn quite a lot, and it's cool to connect with everybody. Anyways, Jim Royal has been going there every year for like the last 20 years or so. You can't find a bigger proponent of the PASIC convention than Jim, and that's actually where he and I met. So I'm a huge supporter of that event, and I'll be there next year. I hope you guys are too, Chip and Rick.
That sounds like it'd be a blast.
It's worth the trip. Yeah, really fun.
That next year, that sounds right. Hey, Chip, I want to circle back to your book on showmanship and stick tricks. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And if possible, could you show us a stick trick?
Show you a stick trick.
Just show us how you twirl, or just anything that.
Well,
give us a little something.
The book's got different chapters in it that are kind of cool, and it's a PDF, so it has links to video. And I have basically how to raise your hand on the one and raise your energy and the finger flip. And then I talk about vision and clarifying your goals, and then the fakie spin. And then I have a chapter on fear, going through fear, but I'm afraid to finish the chapter. I got throwing drumsticks and the artist, how it's an artist, how being an artist, what that's like, the backflip, being a musician, the basic juggle, and the performer, and then I finish it out with 13 juggling while playing beats.
Wow. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with Chip, which I don't know how you could be, but Chip Ritter is not only an amazing drummer and a terrific teacher, but he's also like one of the best, if not the best, drum showman I've ever seen.
Oh, thanks, man.
No, that's for real, man. I mean, and I love the videos you post on YouTube, even though some of them are even the ones from years ago, because they're new to me, of watching you doing these amazing showmanship things where you're playing these complicated beats and juggling 3 drumsticks and chewing on one while you're tossing couples in the air. And it's amazing. It's
thanks,
powerful.
man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I really got my inspiration from Gene Krupa and all these drummers that have this flamboyant nature. And I was just blown away by drummers like that, and it kind of seeped into my playing.
Well, it's great. I love that you mentioned Gene Krupa, because I think of him like you as like pretty much the first real major showman. I know there were guys before him that were doing some stuff, but Sid Catlett, Chick Webb, but Gene Krupa was like, all of a sudden the drums were front and center, and the drums were the main event for the big band, as opposed to just keeping time. I know he and Buddy Rich sort of together like really brought the drums to the center, and he was an amazing showman, Gene Krupa. And if you watch these videos, he's got this just like a massive smile, and he's got terrific body language,
a lot of energy. Yeah,
it's twirling the sticks and moving them up and down, and it's entertainment, and that's the piece that had been missing up till there, and that's a piece that's missing from a lot of drummers for sure, from me especially. But that body language and that stage presence and the stick twirling, man, that's really, really impressive. And
I think it's very, as far as the showmanship, we have to be very cognizant of the gig we're playing.
Sure.
Like, I wouldn't want to go see a jazz trio and see the drummer acting like one of those kids on Instagram who's like, oh, look at me jumping around. I mean, that's going to
You're right.
take
Of
away
course.
from the vibe.
Right.
But if you're playing a big metal show, I mean, you
Well,
want some bling.
yeah, it's nice to
Yeah.
have that in your pocket for when it's appropriate. Yeah.
A lot of the stick tricks I do are during drum solos too. It's most of the videos you'll see. I'm not playing with a band. I'm doing a solo, so it's like it's allowed. I think you know what I mean. It's more of a showman thing.
So Chip,
Let's do a stick trick.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So I got a stick here, and I'm going to put my first finger and my second finger. Put the stick between my two fingers, and I'm going to try to just wobble it back and forth. Once I get good at wobbling it, I'm going to keep wobbling. I'm going to put a little more pressure to one finger than the other. So now I'm wobbling it, but it's also starting to pivot. And so if I can keep it pivoting, I can turn it into a fan or a circle and do the fakie spin.
The fakie spin.
The fakie spin. That's the best one to teach.
Oldest
trick in the book and the best one to teach.
So Chip, when I do the fakie spin, sometimes the stick kind of creeps and slips a little bit, and I end up moving toward the front of it.
But you got to practice not moving towards the front of it. Little less pressure in between the fingers.
All right, good advice.
And then you start practicing where to start it.
Right.
Holding it in a good balanced position where to start it.
Right.
That's the fakie spin.
Is that different from the garden weasel?
The garden weasel goes through the different fingers like it's a double pivot.
That's amazing.
The garden weasel. I love that. Whoa. Chip.
Yeah, it's the garden weasel because when you put two of them together, it looks like the garden weasel. Slices, dices, and mulches your lawn.
I like that.
Oh, Rick, you got it going on there, man. That's good.
Yeah, man, that's good. You got it.
And that's the garden weasel. Is this the garden weasel?
That's the fakie spin.
Oh, that's the fakie spin. All right.
Now that's kind of like a garden weasel right there.
That's more like a garden mole.
It'll work, Rick. It'll work, Rick. I approve.
All right. All right.
It's more like a garden gnome.
I got to get on this.
Garden gnome.
But
that's good. Because, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
No, go ahead.
Well, what I found is if I put my hand towards me, I could see the spin a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if I'm like sideways, it doesn't look as good from the audience perspective.
It's a directional trick. You want to face it to the crowd. Yeah.
Yeah, like that, right?
Yeah, that's better.
All right. And yours is about 1,000,000 times better than mine.
No, yours is yours as good as mine.
Chip, we should do a deck episode one day where all you're doing is teaching stick tricks.
Let's do that. We can do that.
We get a ton of people tuning in. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, man.
So fun.
That'd be fun.
That is needed.
So when is your book, your PDF coming out?
I don't know. It's not for the near future. I'm still working on chapter of fear.
Right. You're too afraid to finish the chapter on fear.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny, but true.
Yeah, no,
the fear episode sounds, the chapter on fear sounds like a deck episode.
Yeah, man. Dealing with fear and getting through the fear.
Yeah.
Having more motivation to push you through than to let you stop.
Yeah, I've got a chapter
Jeremy,
on fear.
what have you been up to, Jeremy? I heard we got some videos we might be able to watch.
Yeah, I can share some videos with you guys. I've been super busy, which has been great. Teaching's been a little bit light for June, but gigs have been really busy. And I was away for a week teaching at music camp, and I'll be going again in August for another week of it. And I taught a drum set class, and I taught a rock band, which is about 20. This one was fairly small. It was only about 15 or 20 people. Usually it's like 25 or 30. And then I taught a Motown soul band that was like similar size. And this was sort of a smaller camp. So the attendance was a little bit lower. So that usually the bands are like 25 to 30 people, and they're super, super fun. But I can play you some videos from that. And I can play you some snippets from some gigs I had. I had a really phenomenal gig at the SF Jazz Center For those of you not from the Bay Area, the SF Jazz organization is a nonprofit that is pretty much like the biggest. It's like Jazz at Lincoln Center for the West Coast, and they have a venue in San Francisco that is like state of the art, gorgeous, perfect acoustics, main theater that seats about 900, and then they have a smaller venue connected to it where we play, and it's about 100 seats, and we sold it out, which was awesome. And just killer band, really, really fun show. Nice. So let's see what I can find here for you guys.
Hello, Peter Retzlaff. Hello.
Hey, what's up, Peter?
Peter.
Here, I'll tell you what, you guys. We're going to go in backwards order, from things that happened most recently to things that happened earlier.
We got big guns in the house today, man.
Let's check them out. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Joe Parisi, and Jim Royal, and Peter Retzlaff in the house.
Oh, wait, where'd it go?
The video's gone.
Oh, I haven't shared anything yet.
Oh, okay.
Jeremy, while you're figuring that out, I could show you guys my Simmons pad.
You have a Simmons pad?
I had a storage vault, and I had my old Simmons 7 drum kit that I played in the 80s in storage, but it was beaten up. It was beaten. It just didn't work anymore. The module was all wrecked. But it was actually a 10-piece kit I played in the 80s. It had double bass. And so I saved some of the pads, and I don't even know if they work anymore, but it's just so fun to have. Yeah. And oh my God, it's just like a piece of wood with rubber on it. You have to be loose to play these or you get injured. Ah, there it is.
Here we go.
Right. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it.
So this was just on 2 nights ago. I played a gig with this piano player named Erica Oba, and she is just amazing. It was a jazz trio at this venue called the Back Room, which is kind of like my home base, where I probably perform more often than any other spot here. It's just about 15 minutes away. It's in Berkeley. So this is a little snippet from a tune with a trio. Let me know if you can hear it.
Yeah.
Anyways, just a little bit of that.
Yeah, man. Hey, I was dancing.
That was good. How do you know where to put the snare, Jeremy? How do you know?
You listen. That's a good question, Chip. That's the whole art. You're dancing, you're having this conversation when you're comping behind a soloist. You're listening and you're responding with in the moment with whatever you think is appropriate to punctuate and support the conversation that the soloist is leading.
That's very cool.
Jeremy, you can really hear that with the piano and your snare copying. Piano's like ba ba ba, and you're like da 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 da.
Right. Right. In every jazz situation, you have in every moment, you really have 4 choices in terms of what you can do as far as your response, right? You can echo. So you hear a phrase in the solo, but even ba da ga 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 ga, you can play that right back as an echo. You can respond with something different. You hear but even ba da ga ga ga, right? Sort of like an answer. You can do nothing and leave space, which is really often a really good idea. Or you could do something unrelated. Right? It doesn't feel like it's connected to what you just heard, but it's your own sort of, just like when we're having a conversation, all the three of us, right?
Yeah.
It's we overlap, right? And of course, while you're saying one thing and I'm responding, while I'm responding, you're saying something else. The solo is keeping going. So this is constant sort of dynamic back and forth, and you're riffing off of each other's energy. And as they play more densely, you add more stuff. As they leave space, you might leave space. You're just trying to complement and support and make this cool dynamic thing happen.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Check out Daniel Glass has a great podcast on this topic, kind of explaining what jazz drumming is and jazz comping is. And it's on his website or Drummer's Resource podcast. I think it's called Keep Cool and Love Jazz. And yeah, he equates it to a conversation about a group of people talking about hot dogs at baseball parks.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah. And how I like hot dogs. And everybody's like, yeah. They all agree. Yeah. Like, so ba-da-da-da, ba-ba. And then you might, and then maybe the lead soloist is like, the best ones are at Fenway Park. And everyone's like, yeah, those are good. Ba-ba. And then somebody kicks in with, have you tried, the Yankee dog, right? And they're like, whoa, that's different. And so it's just this big conversation. You have to hear the way Daniel articulates it.
That sounds great. I'd definitely check that out.
It's really, really helpful. It's helped me as a drummer, and I share it with all my students studying jazz.
So here's a couple of clips from the SF Jazz Show. We did Mophone play. Mophone is a trio of mine. It's just 2 saxophones and drums. And we opened the set just as a trio, but then we had a full rhythm section join us because we did a tribute to the Meters, the funk band from New Orleans. But this is a clip from just the trio. Let's see. This is from somebody's phone, so it's not all. Oh, it's a drum solo as it happened.
Hey, who gave the saxophone player the tambourine? That's what I want to
know. Yeah. He knows what he's doing with that thing. He knows what he's doing.
That's all right. That's all right.
That's funny. That's really
that sounded great, man. That sounded great.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Here's a little snippet of another one. See what we got here. I haven't vetted these. I actually even haven't listened to these. Pass the peas.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, man.
Let's see.
What a tight band, man.
Well, it was a good band. I will say that. Thank you. Let's see. Let's try one more. I don't know what this is.
Oh,
That sounded good.
That's a
wow,
little
man.
flashlight. That's Jules Leahy on the guitar there.
Right on.
Yeah, cool.
Hot,
Thanks.
man. Hot, hot, hot stuff.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is a totally personal thing, but if you guys don't mind, this is my son. I'm just so incredibly proud of him. This was his jazz studio band concert just a couple.
And he's on piano.
He's on piano, yeah. Under the
hear
direction of
that.
the great Dave Eshelman is the band director, and he puts together this group of like all sort of all-star teenagers from various schools, and they have to audition to get in. And so this is just a snippet of him.
Wow.
Anyways, that's a little bit of him. That's
Very
my,
cool.
Bravo. You must be so proud, man. Thanks for sharing that with us.
yeah, I hope you guys don't mind my indulging. That's a little bit. It's just I'm
That's nice.
so
That's
so
awesome.
proud of him.
No, you know what? I'm so curious about your son as far as like, you know, what direction he's going to take. He's obviously a super talented guy and really passionate about his music. So you and your wife must be so proud. So how old is he, Jeremy?
He's 16.
So does he have ambitions to be a career musician, or does he know
does.
yet?
He does.
does.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's pretty clear. He wants to go to music school and study jazz piano and do his thing. Yeah, it's really cool.
That is great.
The best for me is he's already sat in on a couple of gigs with me. And it's been like the coolest experience. I can't even tell you guys.
That's cool.
Yeah, this is so fun.
That is great.
You're a good dad.
You're a real good dad. Yeah. What
I
schools is he looking
anyway.
at?
What's that?
What schools is he looking at, Jeremy? I'm like a big proponent of higher education. If you want to be,
he's
a career musician.
he's in the fall he'll be a junior, so he's still got a couple of years of high school left. But in the mix are UCLA and USC, Manhattan School of Music, where John Wiley teaches.
Right on.
Wow.
And University of Miami, Berkeley, Boston, sort of the usual jazz school candidates, I guess. But I think it's likely he'll end up staying in California unless he gets big scholarship money to go somewhere, just because it's so much cheaper for us to stay in the state.
Yeah, that makes sense, man.
Anyway, yeah.
You guys...
I got one more for you guys.
All right, play.
So that's all right.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Let's see. So this was what I was teaching that band at Cazadero Music Camp. This is the other thing that I've been up to on the educational side. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, these videos are blocked out. I can't really see them. That's one. What's this? No, that's not it. Let's try this. anyway,
That's
so
so great, dude.
that's really fun. Yeah, we teach a big band. They do rock and roll songs, and then they what's his name? Who's I'm spacing out for just a moment. Bart's friend who was on the deck, who plays in the ABBA tribute band.
Oh yeah, that's Neil.
Neil LaFortune. Right.
Neil LaFortune from
Yeah,
Gretsch.
yeah.
Yeah.
I asked
That's
him.
not Bart's friend. That's all of our friends.
All of our friends. That's yeah. Neil's doing it, man. He puts these photos online all the time about his band touring and playing all these venues, and they're massive venues playing ABBA's music, and he just kills it.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, so that's mostly what I'm up to: teaching and gigging, and mostly gigging, a little bit of teaching, and that's gonna shift come September. It'll be sort of teaching back up full again. But yeah.
Yeah, and then you're going to be all refreshed to get back to serious teaching. It's just so great that you have all these gigs lined up.
Yeah, it's good. It is nice. I'll tell you, it was so long to not be playing at all, and now to have lots of gigs with lots of different bands just feels super rewarding. And
yeah,
I'm just so much. I mean, I find myself that much more grateful when I'm playing, just for the opportunity to be playing, for the opportunity to be present with the audience present. And I always, when I'm the band leader, I always, I'm saying that now. I'm like, hey, I'm so grateful for your coming out and being a part of this special night, and what a privilege it is to be here performing again.
Love that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I love that. I've got my first gig book now. In October, I'm playing a wedding with a DJ. So
wow.
It's a thing I've done a lot, where you have a DJ and I'll come in with a drum set and we just go to town. So it's sort of that live performance meets the DJ vibes. So
that sounds cool.
It's super fun. It's like it's a wedding, and I love playing weddings. The people are nice, they dance.
Yeah.
The food's good, the pay is good.
Yeah. I mean, just imagine if all your gig audiences were as enthusiastic as the wedding audiences, right? That'd be awesome.
Exactly.
I love wedding gigs, except for when everybody clears out and you think the gig's over, but there's two alcoholics that won't leave the dance floor.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No.
Chip. That's too funny, man.
So, Rick, you said you had some. I know you had. We were going to talk about some questions from students today too. You had a couple of things on your mind you want to bring up.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. Is my audio open? Is my internet? Am I still?
Your audio's good.
Clear.
Audio's
good, but video is still wonky.
A little bit.
Yeah. All right. So here are the questions of the week. Does cleaning a cymbal affect the sound? Should I clean my cymbals?
A
lot of controversy about this one, I think.
I think it does change the sound.
You do?
I do.
Yeah.
Maybe Mark Love from Sabian would say otherwise, but my experience has been that I remember when I was a kid and I thought, oh, I should clean my cymbals, they're dirty. And I bought the polish and I, put a bunch of elbow grease into it, and it definitely sounded different. Whether that's good or bad, that's subjective and up to you. I know a lot of jazz drummers prefer the sound of the cymbals that are more broken in and have been played, and they've got the dirt that's collected in the grooves and it mellows out the cymbal a little bit. Someone was talking to me the other day about, so do you, he asked me if I had ever buried my cymbals.
You ever buried your cymbals?
Yeah,
buried my cymbals. And I was like, what? He's like, oh yeah, don't jazz drummers bury their cymbals to kind of like give them,
age them.
Age them. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I think that's an urban myth, man. I've never heard of anything like that.
That's pretty funky.
But I do think cleaning your cymbals makes them, obviously they look different, but I do think it makes them brighter a little bit. Cymbals get tired over time, and sometimes they mellow out, and that's a cool thing because you like them just with a little edge off. And other times they get, if you clean them up, they'll brighten up the sound a little bit. That's my impression. What do you guys think?
I think it brightens them up. I definitely have a couple cymbals where they have the signature reflector is like almost like a clear coat. So all you have to do is Windex it and wipe it with a paper towel, and it's perfect. So, but I think it definitely brightens the cymbals. From the history I have with my cymbals over the years, when the cymbal gets really dirty and really like has that green stuff coming on it, if you get some Brillo and you get the buffing, that whatever that solution is, that lotion, you clean the cymbals up and they definitely sound brighter.
Rick?
I've never heard a huge amount of difference myself. Not that I think would make any difference for a recording or an audience, for sure, to tell the difference. So it might be that your ears are so in tune that you can hear these, but I don't think your average human could hear the difference.
We should do an experiment. We could do like a Mythbusters thing where we take an old oxidized cymbal and clean it up, and then get two of them, and then clean one and don't clean the other, and see if we can hear a difference.
Yeah,
we should do that.
Yeah, so for me, I do like to polish them. I'll put them in the sink and get some soap and water, and clean them up that way, and then get polish, and then polish, of course, not on the logos.
But Rick, wouldn't you think it would make a difference how old the cymbal was?
Well, one thing I do know about, that I learned from, as a Sabian artist is that as the cymbal gets older, the metals kind of harden, is what I was told. And that the sound could kind of be more, I don't know, refined or amplified, but it's probably everything goes, it might be what we might be is a dog chasing our tail, because it might be just cymbal to cymbal. That might be the answer to all of this. Like this cymbal, don't do that cymbal. Well, it wasn't a problem with that. So it's just a thought.
But you do polish your cymbals to keep them nice and shiny.
Yeah, man. I love my shine, man.
Chip, do you polish your cymbals?
Yes, I do. I clean my cymbals with Windex, and I polish them with a buffing cloth.
And so I don't clean my cymbals.
You don't. Yeah.
There's three answers for you.
There you go.
Lots of things work, right?
But I like it when we disagree,
I know. Well, it's so fun too, because we all play, we all have our little niches of styles that we play. So it's good. We're diverse that way. So yeah, we'll have to get Bart's take on this when he comes back.
Yeah, Jim and Peter, if you guys want to chime in on these, we're curious about what you guys do too, if you're still listening.
Yeah. Love to know what they think on that, what they found.
What's the next question?
When can I start jamming with someone or a band?
Now.
That's a student question.
Yesterday.
Right now. Yesterday, right now. Yeah.
So, I many of you know who are listening, I teach, I run a program called Bandworks, which is basically a school of rock and roll type of program. And we have summer camps where one of the camps is called Intro to Rock Band Instruments. And we get kids who sign up, they've never picked up anything, ever. And on the first day, by the end of the first day, they're playing bass, guitar, drums, keyboards, and singing, and they're playing a song. And you can do it. You keep it super duper duper simple. Bass is playing one note at a time. Whatever, to roots, whatever. Simple drum beat, kick and snare, even only, and you can be playing music. Yeah, you don't need to wait to achieve any level of anything. The important thing I think is that you do it with people around you who are supportive, right? So if you're a beginner, you can get 2.5 years. And if you're going to go play with, a really amazing guitar player who's been playing for 10 years, well, that can be fine. So long as the guitar player knows, oh, you're a beginner and we're just going to jam and have some fun. That's great. I guess it's all about managing expectations. If you get some other, hot shot who's like, oh, I'm not going to play with you. You're not good enough for me. Well, you don't want any piece of that right now, right?
You don't want anything to do with that guy.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So, but yeah, absolutely. Go right ahead, man. Find your friends who can play, or, sign up for a program like Bandworks or whatever's in your area. I know there's lots of sort of local programs like that, and get placed in a band and just do it. You'll learn as you go.
That's right. And I even tell students, enjoy that you can play simply, because that's, as you start developing all kinds of chops and riffs, that's when you start getting in trouble and interfering with
That's
the
when he
music.
starts sounding like that's when he starts sounding like crap.
Yeah, like I've told people, like, you'd be a better drummer for that band. It's your 6 months of experience than my over 40 years of experience. You know,
Yeah, we got to get out of our own way a lot of the time. That's absolutely right.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. Right. And you could jam with anyone who plays, any instrument, even just get together with a rapper, find a rapper and let them rap and you lay down drums. It doesn't have to be the traditional, I'm looking for a guitarist and a bass player.
Certainly.
Or a DJ.
Or a DJ. There you go.
Yeah.
Which I want to see
I
more
know,
people
man.
playing with DJs. I want to see, every time I have an initiative, every time there's a DJ, I want to see a live drummer with that DJ.
Yeah. Hire
Every
the
time.
live drummer.
Every time. Yep. People are catching on to that. So, all right, we're all in agreement on that one. 100%. Start right now. All right. Should I get an electronic kit or an acoustic kit?
Acoustic.
Yeah, I agree. The only
Yeah.
scenario where I recommend getting an electronic kit over an acoustic kit is I guess it's when it's an electronic kit or nothing.
Right.
Like if you're living in an apartment and you've got neighbors who are sensitive or whatever, you can't make a lot of noise, and if get an electronic kit or don't get a kit, well, then get an electronic kit. It's good for practicing, but it is a really very different instrument. And the response is different. That's all. And it's not bad. It's just different.
Yeah, if you can get a drum set, if you can get an acoustic kit, get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
That's what I'd say.
I totally agree with that. But I also tell, I'll let students know that an electronic kit is very forgiving as far as technique. You could hit this pad with your elbow and it still sounded boom, just like the sample. It's a completely different thing than articulating and pulling out a nice sound out of an acoustic drum. So
yeah, it is.
Right. And you can't, when you hit, it's converted into, an electronic signal based on some algorithms. So like, I know that some of the better quality acoustic drums have some touch sensitivity and whatnot, but like still, it's translated into something that's not just the physical acoustic sound you're making by striking it. And that translation process, by definition makes it different. And, how you play that drum set to get sounds out of it is very different than how you play an acoustic kit to get sounds out of it.
Exactly.
Now, I will say this as well, too. If you are really into playing music that has a lot of non-acoustic drum sounds, an electronic kit could be the thing for you. Let's say you really want to play a lot of electronic music. Well,
sure.
or you're trying to sound like Thomas Dolby and it sound like some 80s kind of thing. There's so much creativity that you can bring by using an electronic kit. And so have fun with it too. If you get an electronic kit, don't just go to the kit that you like. Go to the fancy, weird, crazy ass sounding drum kits and start making some music. And you'll start playing in a different way. And it can be really, really, really fun.
One of the other nice things about those electronic kits is they got a built-in metronome that you can adjust in all kinds of ways. You got the headphones. You can plug in your iPhone or your phone device and play along with songs really easily. They've got a lot of them have some built-in play-along tracks, and that's really nice. You can adjust everything with dials to get your headphone mix just right, so you can practice with whatever you want. That's different than with an acoustic kit.
Exactly. I think the thing that a lot of students have to watch out for is buying a toy. They're buying an electronic set like, oh, but the box said professional. I got it for $250.
Yeah, and it lights up when you play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, That's right. Well,
Lights up. I want to see that.
yeah, to get a good quality electronic kit, you're spending a lot of money. You can find them used and whatnot, but I always recommend going with the V drums. Those are my sort of go-to electronic kit. I don't know if you guys have other brands you recommend, but those are going to set you back. Used one at least $1,000.
Yeah. I always tell people to get down to, well, locally here at this Guitar Center is the only place to go, and check out the Simmons, check out the Yamaha, check out the Alesis,
Mm-hmm.
and check out the Roland. And likely Roland's going to be the answer, but all those others are worth looking at, I feel.
Yeah.
And
there's plenty of professional drummers, touring, gigging drummers who incorporate electronics into their acoustic setup, like Rick Stojak. You've got a Roland SPD pad, right?
that's right, man. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Right? If we're playing a Prince song.
Right. Right.
I don't know how that
sounded great. That gives you sound options that you just don't have on an acoustic kit that work great for all kinds of styles of music: hip hop, drum and bass, trance, house music. I mean, you really can't quite get the same vibe. And there's a lot of famous recordings that have electronic drums on them. And if you're trying to make that recording, trying to emulate the sound of that recording, it's hard to do it with an acoustic kit sometimes.
That is just so cool. You need the hand clap.
Yeah.
Don't rely on the keyboard player to do it. And I've got timpani, man.
Yep.
You can't fit two of those in your in the back of your car, but I can. So, I'll also say anything you hit with your hand or with sticks in rhythm is percussion. And, there's a whole world of street percussion, man. If you're that deep into it, you could get some buckets and just start going for it and making makeshift drum kits. Before you start spending money, if you're not sure about the instrument, go ahead and do that, man. If you find like, oh my God, I'm playing these buckets for 2 hours a day, then well, maybe I should be spending, $1,500 on an electronic kit or acoustic kit. So test the waters.
Right on.
Yeah.
So I think we're all in agreement. If you have the choice, you have the opportunity, get an acoustic kit if at all possible, but electronic kit fits certain niche.
There it is. We're all in agreement on that. There it is. Real quick, I want to ask you guys about sticking approach on drum set. Do you like to teach always going alternating or keeping the eighth notes on the right hand and the E's and U's on the left hand? Like, how do you teach it?
Are you talking about like in the context of fills or grooves?
In fills. In fills.
I usually teach alternating right hand on the eighth notes and the left hand on the E's and the U's.
Yep.
Yeah. Generally, I do too, but
me too.
I do point out that different orchestrations are possible with different stickings.
Right.
Right. And so, like, for example, just even like using a paradiddle in a moment in a sticking will allow you to execute certain moves and orchestrations around the kit that singles might not lend themselves to very as easily. Right.
Right.
So, that's part of why we practice stick control and all these sticking variations in my mind is that so that when you're playing, whatever you think that you want to hear, your hands are able to produce and you don't get hung up on right or left. I mean, I generally default to what Chip is talking about with my students because that's easier to learn and the sticking doesn't get in the way when they're trying to move around the kit, right? But for more advanced students, I find that those other stickings have plenty of use.
Yes. Well, we're all in
Yeah.
agreement on that one too. You know, in my fill book, I even put in various sticking patterns that can work on the different fills.
Right.
And,
Right.
But
Yeah.
I
And,
always think that a go-to is really, really what I really try to like. That's your go-to is keeping the eighth notes on the right hand. What if it's a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's the right hand? If it's an E or an A, it's in between. It's the left hand, and try to have that as a go-to. So you've got a format.
one of the
So
things I
often
find,
I'll have somebody put an on the right hand on beat 4, right, and then they're
yeah,
all
right.
discombobulated because they ended with the right hand on
Yeah.
the
Yeah, that's kind of the one rule I have, and the rule is really just to make things easier for them. I'm like, look, you could play a fill with any sticking you want, and no one out in the audience is going to know so long as you pull it off, right? They don't
right.
care what sticking you use; they don't know.
Oh
But
yeah,
you know, if you finish that last 16th note on the fourth beat with your right hand, then you got to jump to the crash or the hi hat with the right hand on the next 16th note. Once you reach a certain tempo, that becomes really cumbersome, and it's going to set you back. It will limit how
right,
fast you can go. So
right,
that's sort of like the one, rule that I put down with sticking with fills is like finish with the left hand when you have a 16th note on the last note.
right.
But how you get there, like when we're working on 2-beat fills, let's say like 3 and a 4 E a 1, da 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 boom, right? The notes up until that last 16th note, there's different ways you could do it, right? Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left,
right.
and so on. And I think that what I find for students is that sometimes there are certain things that work easier for them, and if they're looking for a plan, I say go back to Chip's plan: right hand on the eighth notes, left on the 16th. But whatever you do it the same, because it'll be a lot easier to get your timing consistent and be able to pull off the fill if you keep the sticking the same. If you keep changing the sticking every time you're doing it, you're going to mess up your timing. It makes it harder because your body doesn't know which one to do.
And that's really, really well said and really, really practical. It also, to me, helps emphasize the importance of learning to read drum music.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to do this by ear, you might not really know what the rhythms are, and then your sticking might really get discombobulated. If you don't know
Yeah.
what we're talking about, putting the of 4 on your right hand. If you don't know what the of 4 is, how can you build that platform?
You're right.
You get bigger problems than sticking.
Yeah, then you do.
Right.
Then you do. Yeah.
Right on.
What a fun episode, man.
Yeah.
I always learning from you guys.
Likewise.
Learning from you too.
Yeah, man. Hey,
Thanks everyone
I know. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
I was just going to say thanks everyone for tuning in, and I can't remember what we've got on tap for next week, but whatever it is, it's going to be good.
That's right. I know we're both in touch with Kelly Ray Tubbs that we're going to have her back on sometime this summer.
I think that's the first Tuesday in August she's going to be back, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. Kelly, the historian,
Ray Tubbs.
She's vast knowledge of the history of the drum set and how it's been played, and man, I can't wait to see what she's got going on.
Yeah, she has these articles out now on the history of music notation.
Oh yeah,
very cool. Super cool.
That's pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah. Well, we missed you, Bart. Get back here next week, man. Have a good tour.
All right, everyone. See you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Have a great day.